What's up, guys? Welcome to Newswave. It's December 7th, and a whole bunch of stuff came out today, a couple leaks from sources, and some other pretty neat stuff from Square and Final Fantasy. So let's get right into it. So let's talk about Final Fantasy first. So 2017 will be the 30th anniversary for the Final Fantasy franchise, and Square is actually going to do a whole celebration for it, and they put out a 30th anniversary roadmap. And what that means is there is a set release schedule that they are going to have going into 2017. And there's some pretty cool things they're going to do. For one, they're going to take a remaster of 13, 13.2, and then Lightning Returns and put it out for the PS4, and they're going to have it set so it's 1080p at 60 frames a second. So if you're a fan of the 13 franchise, that actually might be really cool for you. I know a lot of people didn't like 13 completely, but if you're a fan, it looks pretty good as a full remaster for the PS4. Of course, we already know about the Final Fantasy VII episodic remake that Square's doing, where they're going to put it with like new visuals, completely redo the battle system and everything, and they said it's going to be released in episodes. They're also doing Final Fantasy XII, and they're remastering that for the new systems also. It might just be a PS4 release, we're not sure yet. It could go to the Xbox One, but more than likely it'll be a PS4 only release of Final Fantasy XII, which in my mind was actually a very underrated Final Fantasy game by a lot of gamers now. So if you're a fan of it, keep an eye out. They don't have a set date for when it's coming out, but it does appear to be 2017. And the most interesting thing they're going to release, at least to me anyway, maybe not to you guys, but to me it's really interesting, is the Final Fantasy 30th Anniversary Edition. And what this is going to be, it's going to be on the PS4 and the Vita, and it's going to be Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all on one disc for the PS4 and one cartridge apparently for the Vita. That's gonna be a really big cartridge for the Vita, but it's going to be on one disc for the PS4. They're going to have a bunch of remasters, then they're going to also have the regular ones. So 1 through 6, they will have remastered ones, which are probably the ones from the mobile ports that they did, where they kind of made the visuals look a little better and everything, and then they'll have the originals as well. Now, 7, 8, 9 will just be basically the highest resolution it could be. I think they'll probably use the PC versions that they did, bring those over with like, 1080p visuals, all that good stuff. One other note, Final Fantasy 2 and 3 from the NES will receive actual, official translations to English for this remaster. So that's actually really cool, and it's only, like I said, it looks like it's only available on the PS4 and the Vita. So keep an eye out for that too. Again, when I figure out a date and everything, when they tell us in 2017, I'll be sure to let you guys know as well, because I'll probably be pre-ordering this game just to make sure I get it. I don't know how limited it will be. And guys, you may have remembered a video I did about a week and a half ago, which I'll put that up here, or whichever side that's on, where I actually talked about the possibility of GameCube games going to the Switch. Now, when I was talking about that, it wasn't confirmed in any way. I was pretty much just kind of speculating and talking about the possibility of GameCube going to the Switch after citing the X1 being able to emulate Dolphin well. Well, it looks like Eurogamer is reporting from multiple sources that GameCube games are indeed going to the Switch. They're already in line, they already have 3 games planned, and they're going to the Virtual Console. The 3 games that they have picked out, apparently, again, allegedly from Eurogamer, is Mario Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, and Melee, which is really, really cool. A lot of people are probably going to gloss over the fact that Melee runs at 60 frames, and anything lower than that would actually probably hurt the gameplay experience. This tells us that the Switch should be able to emulate GameCube games, in particular Melee, at 60 frames, which is not even easy for Dolphin to do, so keep that in mind too, guys. That's actually a really big deal, and I think most of us are now excited to be able to play things like Sunshine and even Melee on the go. I mean, it's portable then. You could take it to a convention with you if a bunch of people are kind of going there to play Melee, and you guys kind of hook up if you want, either on the same Switch, maybe plugged into TV, or you guys can have multiple ones. It'll also come down to if they want to do network support for Melee. There's all kinds of stuff on the table. You should be very excited if you're a GameCube fan like I was, because I love playing Sunshine. Like, I started playing it again the other day just because after I talked about it in that video, I wanted to go back and play it again. So, very cool news. I'm very excited. Again, this is a rumor, but based on what Tom Phillips says from Eurogamer, it's pretty much confirmed. We'll probably see at the January presser if it's this far along. So, pretty excited, guys. Also today, Sony put out a report saying that the PS4 system has reached the 50 million mark. Now that means that they've sold through to consumers 50 million PS4s, and that is a lot of PS4s, guys, in this first 3 years. That's actually really, really impressive, mostly because at this current stage, it actually outpaces the PS2, which went on to sell 150 million systems in its entire lifespan. So right now, the PS4 is by far, obviously, the strongest selling system out of anything right now, and it's actually selling stronger than Sony's most successful system, which was the PS2. I don't think the PS4 will get to 150 million because it took 11 years for the PS2 to get there, and honestly at this point I think the PS4's life cycle will run out before it could get there. I do see it crossing 100 million without too much issue, maybe in 7 years or so, because there probably will be a time where it starts to slow down towards the end of its cycle, especially since Sony will probably start announcing things like a PS5 and stuff around that time. But honestly, good for Sony. I know they were having some struggles with the PS3 early on. People were concerned with them going into this generation, and they pretty much proved everyone wrong that video games are still alive and well. There were always analysts that said, oh, video games are dying. Not really. Even the Xbox One, I'm sure, is selling okay. They don't like to put their numbers out for some reason, probably because they're not obviously as good as Sony's, but the PS4 is just sold super well. It's very hard to compare it to anything at this time because it's just such an outlier compared to the Xbox One, obviously the Wii U, but good for Sony. I'm sure they're happy, and that probably includes some PS4 Pros. I think they probably just lumped it all together, but still, it's good to see video games are stronger than ever right now. And guys, I had this one sent in from a viewer. It's called the Retro Engine Sigma, and basically what it is, it's on Indiegogo right now, and it's been funded completely, so they are releasing this. This is coming out. It appears to be a $50 to $60 system. I think it go up to 70 or so, depending on which model you get. And basically, it's going to be a small, tiny box. It only measures about 4 inches wide, and you'll see it appear on the screen. And it actually is able to emulate pretty much any system from retro games, basically back to the Nintendo, Atari, all the way up to the N64, I believe. And there are even ways, because I know what this is running, it's running something called RetroPie. I know that there was Dreamcast support, I just don't know how well it would run. So what you're seeing is it's basically an ARM-based computer essentially in there. It's a very small board. It's basically a Raspberry Pi essentially. It's not the same specs, so I assume they had the boards prefabbed themselves and they actually had these kind of run through an assembly line in some way, because it's not using the same amount of RAM that a RetroPie 3, for example, or a Raspberry Pi 3 would use, but it's still good enough to run all of these games. It's at a very good price, very, very competitive price at $50. And it comes on board with 16 gigs, and that's plenty for NES, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance. Pretty much all of those ROMs, that's plenty for. The only one you might run into issue with is the PS1, because some of those discs could go up to 600 to 700 megs. However, for the price, it's good. They also say it can function as a computer, basically, so you could take it with you. Although 512 megs of RAM might not be enough to run everything. Like, you could probably surf the web, I'm sure, and stuff like that, word processor, things like that. You're not going to do a ton though, but it looks good. The price is good. I think that their idea is good. I hope they don't load any games on these, because that would probably be illegal. They probably also have to look into how legal it is to sell these emulators, basically, because what they're using is for something called RetroPie, like I said before, and it's free to use. You basically load it onto a Raspberry Pi, so if you already have one, you can technically do this. And what you do is, at that point, it has all the emulators built in, and you just put the ROMs on like an SD card, and you pop it in, or a USB stick. You pop it in, you can play it right on your TV through HDMI. This one will support 1080p, and then it will also apparently support 4K video, whether you're watching video back from a USB stick or you're streaming. How likely 4K is, I'm not sure on this device. I can't tell you yes or no, but it probably would be able to do it with the Mali 400 GPU that's in there. It looks like it uses like USB controllers, so you can pretty much use any basic USB controller, including a 360 wired controller, or like the USB Super Nintendo, any of those controllers you can get. And you know what, I think it's a pretty good price. I would look into it first if you're looking for an emulator box underneath your TV that could hide pretty well. It seems like a good buy at $50, because they'll take a lot of the trouble out of you having to do all of that yourself with a Raspberry Pi. So look into it. It looks pretty cool. I'll leave the Indiegogo link in the description, so check that out if you're interested, guys. And guys, some of you may know I'm actually a big Dragon Ball fan. I've been watching Dragon Ball this entire time it's been out over in Japan online, and it's been very good. And finally, it looks like Toei Animation, Funimation Entertainment, they're bringing over dubbed versions of the episodes starting from the beginning, and it's going to air on Adult Swim, which also makes me think that, not that Dragon Ball Super is heavily violent, because it's not. It probably won't be really censored anyway, because it's on Adult Swim. And it looks like it's coming January 7th, starting at 8:30 p.m. We're going to get fully dubbed Dragon Ball Super episodes. So if you're looking for something like Dragon Ball maybe to watch at night, you can watch it starting January 7th, and I'm sure all the other episodes will follow. Looks like they have 26 episodes on tap right now that they're going to play, and then after that, depending on ratings, I'm sure they'll probably dub the rest and bring them over. Dragon Ball, of course, is a very, very popular franchise in the entire world, so I'm sure it'll do well. But if you're looking for dubbed episodes after January 7th, you'll see them probably pop up on a lot of the streaming sites and everything with that dub. So definitely, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, check it out, guys. And guys, that's going to do it for Newswave today. Let me know what you think of the GameCube games on the Switch, and let me know what you think of that Retro Engine Sigma. Do you think it's something you would buy, or is it look a little bit like a ripoff because they're basically using emulators on a RetroPie? Again, guys, definitely like, subscribe, and comment below, and I will see you guys next time.